SHMACKEMAGOB, people. It's another one of my classic album episodes. And this one is a very important one to me. Skynyrd's live album. One more from the road. Before that, I'll show you my little Skynyrd collection. I just have 70s Skynyrd stuff. I've heard some of the later stuff. Some of it's good, but you know, this is Lynyrd Skynyrd to me. If it ain't Ronnie Van Zant, just not Skynyrd. Not in order, of course, nothing fancy. I remember having this as a kid, and with Billy Powell with the middle finger. I don't remember any controversy about it, Dad, but I remember seeing that as a kid going, ooh, giving the finger. This is the first one. I need to get this one again. Even though this does still sound good, this one suffered the great waterbed accident I had after when I got home from a Triumph show. My whole apartment was flooded, and a lot of my vinyls got damaged, and this one was one of them. Though the vinyl is still good, though I got to get it again. The second album, maybe my favorite, Second Helpings. Maybe, I don't know, I'd have to think about that. But, you know, The Ballad of Curtis Lowe is one of my favorite Skynyrd songs. Give Me Back My Bullets, awesome, awesome album. Double Trouble, Roll Gypsy Road, Give Me Back My Bullets, Cried for the Bad Man Searching, Trust, Every Mother's Son, amazing album. Oh look, I do have a later one, the reunion album, and this is the only time I ever seen Lynyrd Skynyrd. Was it when they reunited in '87, I believe? And Alan Collins, they brought him out in a wheelchair. He was already crippled at that time before he passed away. Pretty heartfelt, but got to see Ed King and Rossington and Artemis Pyle, and who else was here? I know the brother, Johnny Van Zant, Steve Morris, or no, Steve Morris just came out on this album, right? I don't think he played the show I was at. Ed King, amazing. Leon Wilkinson, good stuff. Leon Wilkinson is buried right across from Ronnie Van Zant. I did visit Ronnie Van Zant's grave when we were on tour. When we passed through Jacksonville, it was a mission to go there, and we also went to the Jug, the bar that they made famous in the song "Give Me 3 Steps." I was cutting a rug at a place called the Jug. I was there as well. And a funny story: the bartender there, you know, we told her we were in a band, and she wanted a shirt. She was very nice. I gave her a shirt, and she said, she said she wanted to take a picture with us. And when we did, she lifted her shirt, and she's topless, and I can't show that picture. Skynyrd's First and Last, and this one with Ricky Medlock when he was on drums. He's now with them now on guitar. Love Blackfoot, the band he formed. First and Last. This has Down South Junket. A lot of good songs on this. This was released after the plane crash. You know, a lot of odds and ends. Here's another one, kind of like an odds and end one too. This one's called Legend, right? I believe. Or yeah, Legend. Good stuff. Golden Platinum, love it. Down South Junkin'. The first time I heard this album, that's the first time I heard Down South Junkin'. And there was one of my favorite songs too, Coming Home. And it's such a fancy album. I never forget buying this as a little kid, and then I open it, and this is the gatefold, the complete opposite, which is a scribble of the band. And of course, Street Survivors, their last album, the one with the flames on the cover. I remember, my brother saw one of the last shows. One of their last shows was Sportatorium. I think they did 2 or 3 after that, or maybe even less, before the plane crash. And I vividly remember being in the car listening to the commercial for the concert saying, are you a street survivor? Lynyrd Skynyrd at the Hollywood Sportatorium. Vividly remember that. And my brother went to the show. Wish I could have, but I was too young. And then the album I'm talking about, One More from the Road. Now before I get totally into this nut swinging of this album, this is great too. This is the deluxe edition of the album that brings some bonus tracks like Give Me Back My Bullets, Simple Man, and also like from different nights, the alternate versions of Freebird and Crossroads, Sweet Home Alabama, Call Me the Breeze, and Give Me 3 Steps, and another Searching, and I Ain't the One. All that is bonus material, and an intro with Workin' MCA. All that's bonus, plus the full album. This was awesome. Now, listen, I was listening to this like last week actually, and I went on one of the Lynyrd Skynyrd groups, and I asked the people, is this available on vinyl? And one guy put a link, and I was like, ooh. But he was like, I don't know, there's no information that has the bonus tracks. And I said, you know what, man? This one I've had since the 70s. And it's, unlike the Pronounce album, it is a little beat up. I've played it way too much. So I said, you know what? I went on that link and bought this, the 180 gram version. And I said, look, if it doesn't have the bonus tracks, I'm fine. I need to get this again. And no, it doesn't have the bonus track, but it is a 180 gram version. Gram audiophile vinyl pressing. Sounds amazing. And there's just something about this album. You know, it's my favorite double live album. My favorite live album is Unleashed in the East. But this one's my favorite double live album, right after Unleashed in the East. I never get sick of this. It has this vibe to it, man, that I can't put into words. Like the atmosphere, the audience, the way the band plays, and you know, Ronnie, how, you know, Ronnie's like, when he talks about Steve Gaines, sick an okie at you. So good. Play it pretty for Atlanta. So many cool little things that Ronnie says during it. And it's just amazing with, you know, opening, working on MCA, I Ain't the One, Bam Bam, Searching, such a great grooving tune. Tuesday's Gone is gorgeous. Such a gorgeous tune. Saturday Night Special, Traveling Man, Whiskey Rock and Roller, rules. Sweet Home Alabama, I'm burnt out on. I don't even want to go into that, but I'm burnt out on that song. Give Me 3 Steps, Call Me the Breeze, T for Texas, The Needle and the Spoon, Crossroads. Crossroads smokes, man. And also, you know, that T for Texas, it's just such a grooving, showing their chops on the guitar. It's just so, it's so unique how this band was, because, you know, they're like, you know, a redneck band with the you know, their symbol back then was the rebel flag. And I was raised, the reason why I'm so into Skynyrd, because the people on my block, most of them were what you would call rednecks that love Skynyrd. And they would play Skynyrd a lot, and it just got into me. I just fell in love with the band. And the guy that turned me on to Skynyrd, they had a rebel flag in their house. But you know what, man? They were not racist people. I'm Cuban. They would let me in the house. They would feed me. I never forget a time that we were there, and my friend had a Cheech and Chong album called Wedding Album, where it was a skit called Hey Margaret, where the husband takes the wife into a porno theater, and then the husband says at one point, the N-word, and the father heard it and said, turn that off. I don't allow that type of language in my house. This was a redneck. And that redneck would bring his black co-workers over to have dinner, break bread with them. I don't know, man. Maybe there are maybe, I'm sure there's many redneck racists, but the ones that I was raised with in Hialeah, Florida, they were the greatest people. They took care of me a lot because my parents were constantly working. They were kind of like my second parents. Also the neighbors, they were Colombian. Both those families would look after me while, you know, my parents were at work. But I just thought they were great people. They showed no signs of racism, and they had a rebel flag. They were, you know, pride instead of hate, you know. I mean, I didn't really dwell into it with them because I was a little kid, you know, about, you know, why they weren't racist, you know. What an amazing, amazing album. Probably my favorite on here would be The Needle and the Spoon, maybe. I mean, it's just so good. It's almost all equally great. Because I pretty much like all the studio versions, but Needle and Spoon on this one I like more. I like a lot of these songs more on the live versions. Like a Whiskey Rock and Roller, I like more on this than the studio version, but I love the studio versions. But this is exceptional. I love me some Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's just hard for me to accept Lynyrd Skynyrd now, you know, especially now. It's only Gary Rossington. And I'd like to show you this picture right here. Isn't that eerie? The last man standing, Gary Rossington. And yes, that's Bob Burns. I've had people argue with me over that picture. Artemis is still alive because they think that's Artemis, but it's actually the original drummer, Bob Burns. They do look a little like, not that much. But if you know your Skynyrd, you know the difference between Bob Burns and Artemis. So somebody will lecture me saying, Artemis is still alive and he's in the picture. You don't know Skynyrd like me, yo. Anyway, this is my classic rock album series that deserved to be up sooner, really. Because I love it so much. It's my favorite double live album. I love Kiss Alive. Relax, Kiss Tards. I know some of you are going, but what about Kiss Alive? Love it too. Love it a lot. You know, it might be a future, it should be a future classic, but this one I like even more. I like more than any double live album. It's the shit. If you don't have it, just punch it up on YouTube, listen to it. If you like it, buy it. If you don't like it, my condolences. Thank you everybody for watching, and SHMACKEMAGOB, and subscribe to my channel if you like what you see. Bye. Hey, check out my podcast, The VIERA Vault, on Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes. Subscribe. The links are below.
Looking for some new podcasts to listen to? Well, Rat Salad Review Network has plenty of shows to choose from. Like Rat Salad Review, where they discuss the latest rock and metal news, as well as interviews and albums. Album vs. Album, the King Diamond Podcast, with Wayne Noon, Greg Noggle, and sometimes this guy.
SHMACKEMAGOB!
Ralph Vieira is also on our network with the VIERA Vault. There's also Old Man Metal's Musings, where he discusses heavy metal and beer. Music is Life with Lou Mavs. The Right Opinion for those who love politics. A South Park podcast called Suck My Balls. The Infinite Fringe, a watch-along wrestling show called Beyond Bushido. Ex-Stradivarius guitarist, the Timo Tolkki podcast. And the Great Harry Barnett with I Don't Even Like Podcasts. So check out ratsaladreview.com or search Rat Salad Review on YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and more.